Hello and welcome. I'm Gauhar Raza and you are watching Eureka, a program that brings heroes who have built the nation, heroes who have contributed significantly in the area of science and technology, those heroes who have been unsung by and large. But before I introduce my guest today, let me take you back to the dawn of the civilization. Human beings always thought of flying, and this urge could not be quenched till we achieved flying in the aerospace. Wright brothers, those are the names that come to your mind first, but then a lot of development took place. Second World War was fought on the power of aerospace. However, things did not stop. Very high technology was developed during the Cold War period. India entered into aerospace technology and science almost in 1959, when a modest beginning was made. A small institute was conceived in Delhi. It was shifted to a Raja's palace in Mysore, who donated a stable. So from horses to aerospace, we took a big jump. Today we are honored that we have Dr. Shyam. It is
my pleasure.
A pleasure to have you at Rajya Sabha channel. You come from a family which was very well educated. Your mother was intermediate, voracious reader. Your father was into mathematics and accounts. You hopped as a child from one corner of the country to another corner of the country, shifted about 14 institutions since your schooling started. Wasn't it very difficult for you to cope up with the education, and didn't it disturb you?
To be very frank, I think, as you rightly pointed out, my initial years have been a little hazy in the sense that there were a lot of transfers, different languages, different places, different new houses to settle into, schools, new friends, teachers. So you're right. But at the same time, I think it broadened my horizons right from the day one. And I was exposed to a variety of cultures and languages. And I think food which varies from each state. So there were a lot of mixed reactions. You know, it was difficult. But at the same time, I think, like everything else in the world, there were the positives and the negatives. And luckily, I mean, we could manage with the challenges that
When did you realize that you will be doing science and technology?
Actually, what happened
That is the destiny.
And I think that happened in Bhubaneswar, where I did my class 10 and 11 in Stewart School. And that time it was ICSE, the equivalent of senior Cambridge in India.
Right.
And luckily, we had very good teachers in maths and science. And I think that created that urge to and good labs. I mean, it was a missionary institute with father, this thing, and we had two of them were really good, encouraged us to try experiments, build things. You know, that created that urge to...
Do you remember those teachers?
Yeah, one was Father John, and the other one, I just can't recollect his name. But both of them were very, very good teachers in the sense that, you know, the way they explained things. And
I'll again repeat for the viewers. Teachers can make an excellent scientist and technologist, and they can recognize probably the potential at the school level and then contribute to nation building. That is what has happened in your case, probably.
No, and I think it was not just there. I think I was also equally fortunate when I went into college, having a set of lecturers, professors who were very good and dedicated.
Now I would like to discuss your career as a first-rate technologist. When you started doing your engineering and then masters, At that time, control engineering was a very new subject. It was taking a turning. It was at a juncture where new things were happening. Did it attract you towards control engineering, or you did engineering and then entered into control engineering?
See, I think, as I said, electronics at that time was the craze of the day. And all the RECs, the regional engineering colleges, IITs this thing had it under the electrical engineering department, but electronics and communication exclusive was more in the regional engineering colleges.
Let me interrupt you. We as students of electrical engineering, in fact, protested that electronics and engineering should be added to the degree at that time. Yeah.
Yes, and many institutions even today continue it's brought under the electrical engineering faculty.
Yeah.
But at that time, REC Trichy, which was relatively new, this thing had a UN-aided, it was institution with a lot of excellent laboratories. And that's what attracted me to joining, though I had got not a very high rank in the JEE, so I would have got something like metallurgy or one of the lower subjects, not the top electrical and mechanical which were sought after. So I decided that even though I might have to go to an REC, looking at things like REC Trichy where the facilities were excellent, I decided that I will plunge into electronics and communication. It was only in the 4th year we had the basics of control engineering.
That was the most difficult subject, by the way.
Exactly, because of the math. And people would just reel out differential equations one after the other, not related to the physics.
Yes.
But again there, I think I was fortunate to have one of the teachers who would always explain the math with an example. And, and as I said, we had good laboratories.
Teachers build the nation.
And I think I have been singularly fortunate, both there and then
teachers.
Subsequently in IIT Kharagpur, to get a bunch of teachers.
When you joined National Aerospace Institute Laboratory, which was re-christened as Aerospace, it was National Aeronautical Laboratory. What kind of environment did you expect before joining it? Because that was one of the premier institutions in the country.
What actually happened was, it was by chance. Our house was facing a garage where there was a small industrial, I think, called Glastronics. They were making transformers. And the person there worked at NAL as in the instrumentation pilot plant. So I used to go there because I was always interested in building electronic circuits and devices to buy my transformers, because they used to make transformers for the power supply. And then one day he told me, looking at your interest, why don't you once come with me and I will show you what is there in NAL. And that's how my thing started. And the moment I saw NAL, I was just, fascinated. And the workshop.
It's a very fascinating place anyway.
And those days, technology was just evolving. And not many institutions were
That is when you decided that NAL
was
the
bad.
place.
And then I went back. This was my summer holidays from IIT Kharagpur. I was doing my controls and instrumentation engineering. And I went and told them, I don't want to do my project here. I'm going to do my project at NAL. But, IITs in those days were not so, flexible. And they said, sorry, you have to complete the 2 years of course here, and then maybe after that you decide what you want to do. Then I went and spoke to my head, the dean, and somehow, luckily, because I was one of the best students, I could convince them that, that would be the best interest of both me and the institution, because I would get them also connected to a place like NAL. And very luckily, I think I was the first student of the electrical engineering department to be allowed to do my MTech project in the industry, because it was, at those days, it was a full year with about only 2 subjects in the third semester.
Right.
And I said that I would come once in a while and make sure that, I would pick up whatever. And since I was topping the class in the previous semesters, they were allowed to. Otherwise, it would have just not been possible.
As a young scientist, you joined when the best of the people were involved in setting up and then stabilizing a place like NAL. Your journey within NAL has been journey of almost now 40 years,
Yes.
30 years.
37 years, yes.
Yeah, 37 years. It's a long journey. You have seen it changing. When you look back, today you are director of the lab. When you look back, the kind of contribution that NAL has done, do you look at it with satisfaction?
I think, yes, we are unsung heroes in some sense because we have contributed practically to every major aerospace program in the country, be it missiles, launch vehicles, satellites, aircraft. And as you are aware, quite a few of the national facilities have been set up at NAL. And in fact, most of the aeronautical and aerospace programs take birth at NAL because of the wind tunnel. That is where we first generate
the first wind tunnel was set up
in
NAL, in the country.
And in fact, it's the only tunnel even today which continues to be widely used in 2 shifts by both DRDO and space and our own programs. So, as I said, it was a mix of having excellent seniors, excellent facilities. At those days, of course, things have changed over the years. We have not caught up with what's happening with the latest in the world because of various reasons and the investments that we could subsequently put in. But those days, we were attracting the best of talent and we had the best of facilities. Not that today it's a thing, but I think it could have been better when I look back over the years.
And personally, your contribution has been significant, especially in the area of controls.
Yes.
And you have been recognized for that. But looking at the bigger picture, this is the area where there is confluence of very fundamental science to applied science to human behavior. Do you work in all the areas as an institution, or you excel in certain areas and there are gaps in other areas?
What exactly happened was we started a new division at NAL called the Flight Mechanics and Control. And this I would give credit to Dr. S. Balkrishna, who was also my mentor, and I learned a lot from him. And because it was always aerodynamics, then propulsion, structures, flight dynamics and control or flight mechanics and control did not find a place as a major activity. It's also true in the academic syllabi. But he realized the importance of understanding flight physics, applying it to flight dynamics, and then designing. Aircrafts have been flying with or without control for a long time. Why is it that control has started playing such a major role? Is because today, once an airframe is built, it is still possible to extract the best out of the airframe by using control.
Control theory.
And in order to apply control, you first need to understand the plant, in which this case is an aircraft, and understand why do you need control at all. Earlier, there were aircraft flying without control, and the pilots were controlling the aircraft with their skills and everything. But today, what has happened is it allows us to change the characteristics, the flight dynamics of the airframe to suit the application. As you will realize that earlier aircraft was designed for a particular role. The entire MiG series 21, 23, 25, 27 is an example of that. Each aircraft was for a particular role, air to ground, air to air, air superiority. But today, thanks to fly-by-wire flight control, you can change the characteristics to suit, and so it becomes a multi-role. So you don't need to have this many types of aircraft. So that's another reason why control has become that much more.
Control also has become very important because of man-machine interaction at a very different level. When you get into control theory, it looks at this interaction at a very different level. I have to take a break. Don't go anywhere. We'll come back soon. Welcome back. One of the criticism in this particular area has been that we have done very well in nuclear technology. We have done very well in space technology. We have done excellent work now in biotechnology. How come we lag behind in an area which was started and conceived and visionaries talked about it in 50s, and we started working on aerodynamics, aerospace, superiority, air power, etc., etc. why we haven't been able to do so well? Or you disagree with this? We have done
No, I
really
think,
well.
I think to put it in the right perspective, I think there are several issues that have led to this feeling in the society that we have not done as well as in the other, like for instance space or nuclear technology. I think what actually happened was several aeronautical establishments were set up to cater to specific requirements of the various departments and ministries. So I think we could not synergize all the talent that was available in the country to take this very important technology forward. For example, even when we started the LCA, Dr. Kalam had to form national teams for
Light combat
aircraft, Tejas. And Dr. Kalam had to form what we call now the national teams for certain critical technologies like flight control and, for instance, the carbon fiber wing and all that. And therefore, we had to pull in talent from not just NAL, but also from DRDO, from HAL, from the Air Force, because pilots play such an important role in the case of flight control. And it was only because we could form these national teams that we could at least build an aircraft of the 4th generation, which is now very close to being given to the Air Force for operations.
And it will be commercialized soon.
Yes, yes. We are
that
now,
is good.
The first series production aircraft has been produced, and we are now scaling up to manufacture.
But we still lag behind.
Yes, I think there is a gap.
We
yes.
still lag behind. So what would you expect from the nation to do better?
I think as, aeronautics is something wherein it encompasses all branches of science and engineering. So I think if we really have to catch up with the rest of the world, I think we have to take it at the national level. It should be at the national mission level and put in a lot more resources than what we are able to do today, and synergize the various talent groups that are there across the country and bring them on 2 or 3 major national programs, so that the right investments and infrastructure can be set up to.
If we compare India and China, China started much later as compared to India, but we today lag behind even China in this particular area. So do we have some lessons to learn from that? Is it international pressure? Because of that we have not been able to do?
I think one more thing is technology denials. I think wherever technology has been totally denied because we were forced to build everything ourselves, we have done well. Whereas in the case of aeronautics, one, there are several users. The needs of the users are very different. For instance, a combat aircraft design, though it's an aircraft, is very different from a transport aircraft that you would develop for the civilian thing. And since we do not have an ecosystem in the country to support such a development, it's not just building an aircraft, it needs building the entire ecosystem to cater to these programs. And unless there are major national programs, I think it's not easy to catch up with the rest of the world and produce a product that is truly world-class.
Are you saying that when technology is denied, we rise up to the occasion? Or is it because of the intervention of market forces, when technology is not denied, market forces play a major role? When technology is denied, market forces are blocked. So is it because of the market forces, or is it because of the national commitment that we make when technology is denied?
I think it is more because of the national commitment. I think for some reason we have not been able to convince the government that aeronautics is a technology that needs to be pushed much harder with a lot more investments. And I think that could be one thing. And as I said, the civilian requirements are very different from the. So there are a large number of users. They have their own pressures to accept or not accept a certain product. And all of this results in, certain technologies not coming up to the level that...
How do you see the future?
I think now, as a country, we have started realizing the importance of aeronautics and aviation. And we are one of the biggest markets. The growth is also there. And I think, as I see over the last 2-3 years, there is an effort to synergize activities in this area. And I think very soon we will see some announcements of some major aeronautical products. That's what I hope. And that will bring in a sea change. And also, the private sector have been contributing in bits and pieces to many foreign programs. So there is some sort of an ecosystem, tier 1, tier 2 supplier chains being set up to support such an activity. So I am very hopeful that in the near future that aeronautics will also play a major role in taking technology to the next upper level.
It's at international level an area where monopolies exist. There are not very many firms. There's no competition in this area. Will we be able to exploit the internal market, that is national market, and bring up the industry that you are talking about with the support of the government as well as private sector?
I think it would depend upon, see, as you rightly pointed out, we are fairly late in the game, and therefore the product that we develop must be innovative, it must be cost effective, and maintenance friendly, because fuel burn must be. But I think in certain areas like aero engines, we still will have to import the thing, because I don't think overnight we can develop. But when it comes to airframe systems, especially avionics, because it involves today a lot of software in which we excel, even in engineering software, slowly we are able to deliver the best in the world. So I think if the government takes it up as a national mission, I don't see why aeronautics will not succeed and become. But it is going to be a big challenge. It's not going to be easy to break the monopolistic tendencies. And I think it's not just technology. I think huge amount of financing, leasing companies will have to be started to encourage airlines to buy our products. But I think it all depends on, can we come up with a product that is truly world class? And I think that will be the big challenge.
With very, very stringent measures.
I know, and technology is not easy to come by, even if you, it's going to be a challenge, yes.
You can't take chances. In today's world, you can't just take chances, and it has to be perfect.
And
perfect
you have to meet
to the last
the international norms, safety norms, because collateral damages can destroy the whole industry.
But you are hopeful that we would be able to do excellent job as far as aeronautics is concerned if the nation takes a decision.
I think so.
And the decision is matched with a backup, both economic and human manpower.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a very exciting field, and if proper projections are made and the youngsters see there are programs just like in space, like as you know, the mission to Mars has created such an excitement all across the country, especially in schools and things. I think similarly having a civil aircraft program for regional transportation or a fifth generation fighter, I think will definitely create the same excitement. And I personally feel that there are opportunities that are waiting to be tapped even in aeronautics, be it civil or military.
Personally, your contribution has been recognized and you have been getting so many awards year after year. Which award did you think was the most precious one?
I think what I really liked was when DRDO recognized the work that we had done and path-breaking research. I think because I never expected, because it was not something that we applied for, or some of these awards you also apply, and then if they decide that yours stands the best, then you get it. But the case of the Outstanding Performance Award, I think it was a surprise when DRDO recognized the effort that we had put in. Because I think again it came about.
Did you and your team celebrate?
Oh yeah, and in fact
you did.
I did. I think I have to mention that I have a team which is the best in the country, and not only have we contributed to the aeronautical programs, but you will be surprised to know that we have very heavily contributed to all the missile and the launch vehicle programs of ISRO. So it's not just the National Controller team has contributed not only for the LCA program, but also for many of the aerospace programs in a big way. It may not be in the actual design, but in the review mode. We have been very open. We have shared whatever we have learned over the years. And when it comes to awards, I think our team has won practically every engineering award that is there in the country, and somewhere abroad too.
Congratulations.
So I'm very happy with the youngsters that I have.
But generally people consider engineers and scientists to be dry people who don't celebrate. Your team did celebrate.
Oh yeah, I mean,
the occasion.
In fact, we had a very big gathering, 20 years of the CLAW team, and all the people who had contributed, including pilots, test engineers, senior Air Force officers. I think all of them came, and it was a celebration that we really.
I would surely like to ask many questions, and there are many important questions that our viewers would also like to ask, but I'm running out of time. Would you like to sign off by some kind of inspirational statement for the younger generation?
Yeah, I think Prime Minister rightly said that Make in India should be the slogan. But I think we can extend that a little. Design, develop, make in India, not only for India, but for the rest of the world. I think that should be the slogan. And I would tell the youngsters to do what they are passionate about and what excites them.
I think it's been just a wonderful session with you. The time is running out. Design for the world. Manufacture for the entire humanity. That is the message we go back with. If you have any question or query, Dr. Shyam would be very happy to answer that. Can I promise that?
Oh yeah, sure.
Thank you very much for sparing so much of time. It has been a wonderful session. Write to us at eureka@gmail.com. Dr. Shyam would be very happy to answer the questions. Keep watching Eureka. We'll come back next week with another nation builder. Till then, goodbye.